Today, I want to talk about the idea that women cannot build muscle after menopause, that somehow our physiology changes so much that it's just not going to happen. I want to talk about what the research actually shows and what you need to do in order to build muscle after menopause. This year, so in 2026, a systematic review looked at 126 studies involving over 4,000 women, most of them postmenopausal. And what they found was that the strength and muscle gains were virtually identical between the women who had gone through menopause and those who hadn't. So, what that means for us is that the biology is there, okay? Our bodies can do it. And here's the other thing that showed up clearly in the research, that your metabolism doesn't have to tank with menopause, that women with more muscle had higher resting metabolic rates, burned more fat, and had more metabolic flexibility after meals. Not related to hormone levels, not related to age, but related to muscle. So muscle is the variable that keeps showing up, and it's not a coincidence. Now, are things completely identical post-menopause as earlier in your life? I would say no. So our bodies aren't 20 anymore. And I've noticed the difference for sure. I'm 55 and started training again when I was 50. And my customers, hundreds of women who are in my programs, have said the same thing. There is a difference. And where I would say that the differences lie are in things like your ability to recover. Maybe you need more days off between training sessions before you can go again. Also, as you go through menopause and estrogen walks out the door, your tendons and your ligaments start to get weaker. And so if you start strength training again postmenopausally or in perimenopause, then it may be that your tendons and ligaments need a little bit more time to get strong again. They are going to get strong slower than your muscles do. So there is some nuance to this. But my point is that you can build muscle, but you need to be taking into account your body a little bit differently than you would have when you were 20, as far as recovery and how quickly you progress, how aggressively you get started with your strength training. A lot of people think that strength training is somehow dangerous or not appropriate for women in midlife and beyond. And nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, I would say that strength training is one of the most user-friendly things to get started on because you can totally tailor your workouts to you. You choose the weight that works for you. You take breaks between sets as your body needs. You take recovery days as suits you. You train 2 or 3 or 4 days a week, depending on what works for you. That offers you so much more ability to shape your workouts to be exactly right for you than going to some group fitness class where the instructor's in the front and you follow them. And it's much harder to then adapt it to what you can do. All right? So don't be afraid to pick up those weights, even if you are 60, 70, 80, in your 90s. It is not a problem. You just need to ease into it, right? And pay attention to how your body is going. And if you have arthritis or different issues in your body, then work around them, choose exercises that you can do, and work with a physical therapist if you have limitations, okay? Because they can tell you what exercises you should do, what exercises you shouldn't do, because it's not always the case that you should just, not work something just because it happens to be sore or difficult. But that's where you really should be evaluated directly by a physical therapist. And for sure, I do that myself. My arthritic knee, I had an orthopedic surgeon look at it before I started lifting heavy. My hip, I've had a physical therapist look at it. So these are resources that are there for you to use so you can continue in your lifting journey safely. Just like any other thing, you wouldn't take up tennis if you had some kind of injury in your upper body without checking that, okay, is tennis going to exacerbate it or is it okay? Right? Same idea. The American College of Sports Medicine just recently updated their view on strength training and their recommendations for it. And one thing that they really emphasized, and it's something that I've been talking about for so long, is that it doesn't need to be complicated. You don't need to have fancy periodization schemes. You don't need deload weeks. You don't need special splits. What you do need is you need consistency, you need to be progressing over time, and you need to be challenging your body. And this is what I've been talking about since day one, because my simple programs have helped so many women to get strength training into their lives and to get stronger and to feel better in their bodies. So even 2 or 3 days a week of strength training is plenty. And 2 30-minute sessions even can be enough, but you need to be doing it the right way. You need to make sure that you are actually challenging your body, because if your body doesn't get challenged, it's not getting stimulated and it is not going to change. But it's good to be aware that the less you train, so the fewer times a week and the fewer minutes in your training sessions, the better your programming kind of needs to be, because you want to hit all of your muscle groups twice a week. So if you're only training twice a week, then you've got to hit every single one of your muscle groups in each of your sessions. And if you don't want those to be ungodly long, then you need to have intelligent programming there. It's like packing for the weekend and all you have is a carry-on bag. You need to be so strategic about what you choose to put in there because you have limited space, okay? Same thing with your program. You can't just kind of do a little bit of this and a little bit of that, because all of a sudden you've got only pants in that bag and no underwear or shampoo, okay? So keep in mind that you need an efficient, effective, well-designed program in order to get results. Now, I see it all the time. Women are picking up the weights, but they are not following the science. They come into the weight room, they don't have a program. They aren't tracking. They're not working out intensely enough. They're chatting with their friends. They're doing burpees. And if that sounds like you, then I'm going to list the things you need to be sure that you're doing in order to have some results from your strength training and actually build muscle after menopause. So the first that I just talked about is that you need a good program. That is going to be super important. Not just that you go in and you spend a half an hour doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that. No, there needs to be a strategic plan. Otherwise, you're not going to make any progress. So that is going to be number one. The second thing is you need to be challenging yourself so that you progress over time. And that's where things like tracking what you're doing, repeating the same exercises week after week for at least 8 to 10 weeks, and applying progressive overload are going to matter. And the third thing is recovery. Okay. You want to stimulate the muscle growth in your sessions, but the magic actually happens afterwards. That's when the muscle growth actually starts to happen in your body. So you need to give your body enough time to recover. It doesn't really make sense to go and stimulate it a little bit more when it's already stimulated. So that's why you want to have at least a day of recovery in between. Otherwise, it's sort of a waste to go back in. And then the fourth thing is you need to remember to fuel your muscle growth. So that means that you're eating enough protein and eating enough food overall. Now, of course, there may be many of you who are on a diet. And so obviously you're going to be eating less than what your body needs. And for you, I say absolutely do the strength training, because that's going to be the signal to your body to hold on to the muscle. And for you, it's even more important that you're actually stimulating your muscles and challenging your body. Otherwise, you're not giving your body the signal that, hey, I need to hold on to the muscle. So take the deficit out of my fat stores. So for you, it is even more important to be strength training properly, like real progressive strength training. If you're ready to get started strength training, I absolutely have the programs for you. You can train at home or at the gym 2, 3, or 4 days a week. And I recommend you start with 2 or 3 days a week, something that you actually can sustain long term. That's going to be way more important. Strength training is not about overloading and doing more. Twice a week, consistently, and in 10 weeks, you will feel like a different person. And if you've already been strength training, but you haven't noticed any results, it may be that you're missing one of the very key factors that is going to get you the results, like the tracking, like the progressive overload, like pushing your body hard enough to actually stimulate muscle growth. And that's what I teach inside of Learn to Lift. And I am there with you, right? It is a program. Yes, it is a standardized program for you, but I'm there with you in the app. So you can chat with me, ask me your questions, send me your form videos, because I want to help you to be successful, to be stronger, and to thrive in midlife and beyond, because we're not done yet. And if you're already strength training and you want great programming, support from me through the app, the same way as in Learn to Lift, then join my membership. My membership is built in a very different way from other people's memberships in that it is a progressive program. Each block is built on the one before, and everybody starts at block 1 and moves to block 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My at-home program is dumbbells only, and at the gym has the equipment for any standard gym, and you always have the possibility to swap out alternate exercises in case a certain one doesn't work for you or your gym doesn't have particular equipment. If you have any questions about the membership, about Learn to Lift, then reach out to me. I'm happy to answer them. The link is in the show notes. And if you still want to learn more about why strength training is so important in midlife, then I have an episode that talks about the benefits of strength training, i.e., of actually doing strength training as an exercise form and why that is so important for you. And another one on why it is important to have more muscle on your body. So check those out, and I will see you next week. Happy training.